guys, welcome. Danny here from the Magic Junk Drawer. And today I wanted to talk about the planet. I always called it Uranus. That's what I remember it as, learning it in elementary school. Now people call it Uranus, Uranus, whatever you want to call it. It is the planet of rebellion. It also rules railroads, and it is non-conformist. So Uranus rules Aquarius. So that's why our Aquarian friends tend to be a little bit different. Aquarians march to the beat of their own drummer. Aquarius and Sagittarius remind me a little bit of one another, but Aquarian would take it to the 9th degree. So let's say, for example, the color of my hair, like this. This is an Aquarian thing. You probably wouldn't catch a Capricorn wearing it, all right? It's an Aquarian thing. I always think like an archetype of Aquarius would be Punky Brewster. If you don't know who she is, Google her. Punky Brewster, like 2 different colored shoes and crazy things in her hair. Boy George, he's a Gemini, but he's like has like an Aquarian kind of feel because he's like makeup. And, you know, when he did this way back before anyone else was doing it, it's kind of an Aquarian thing. Anybody that has like a different type of lifestyle, that's like a not 9 to 5, someone that maybe works nights in a bar, that's more Aquarian. It's out of the ordinary. And that is Uranus. So you may not be an Aquarian, but you might be like, well, that's me. You know, I've got purple hair and 25 tattoos. So you may find that you have Uranus in your first house, which is the house of self, and maybe that's why. I had a friend who was actually, I think she was a Leo, and she always struck me as a little bit kind of off. Like I almost didn't always kind of get her. And when I did her chart, I was like, oh, look, that's where it is. She got Uranus in the first house. It makes her a little bit different. It's also the rebel. It brings big shocks, surprises, unexpected events. It's the awakener. It breaks you out of restrictions and chaos. And when you hit about 40 and people talk about the midlife crisis, this is, in astrology, it has something to do with Uranus. So a lot of times people, you know, they're on this path. They go to elementary school, they go to college, they come out of college, they get a job, they're working from 9 to 5, they get married, they have children, they have a house, and then they buy a bigger house, and then they have a new car, and now they have a pool and a yard, and then all of a sudden they're 40 years old and they're like, what's next? What do I do now? And then before you know it, you know, it's like divorce, quit my job, ran off with the circus. You know, this is like a Uranian thing. It's like, I'm not doing this anymore. You know, I did that. I played this role for so long. Now, it can happen like that, or it can happen vice versa. It can happen where the person is a bachelor until 40 and playing in a rock band and traveling around the world and, you know, doing all these crazy little jobs, and then all of a sudden at 40 decides to settle down and now has a totally different life. So it can be just as unexpected and settling down from somebody like this as it can be somebody breaking out of their routine. It's chaotic, it's change. Your life is not going to be the same once Uranus passes through. It's not. Yeah, it's the midlife crisis. You could leave your marriage, you could leave your job, you could just stand up and say, you know what, the hell with this, there's got to be something better out there. I've done it. I've traveled. I've commuted. I've had some asshole stand over me and ask me why I'm 3.5 minutes late for work. I'm not doing it anymore. And that's, you know, that's when people kind of break free. And it's very liberating. Somebody with a lot of Aquarian or Uranus in them will probably be very creative. And you know, it's funny, I'll tell people, oh, you have you know, Uranus in your first house, you're very creative, and they're like, oh no, I'm not artistic at all, I can't draw anything. But you have to think of what creativity is. Creativity doesn't have to be coloring or drawing. It could be that you bake cookies, or you're a cake decorator, or maybe you're a gardener and you have like a fabulous garden, or I don't know, I don't know. It just, creativity can be anything. It doesn't have to be, I take a paintbrush and I paint. It can be anything. So, sometimes when you hear these things, like we have an idea of what it should be in our head, but yet we fit the bill. And we're like, oh no, that's not me, but it really is. What else? A Uranian space tends to be a small space. Like if someone who likes to be in a small, tiny place, like I tend to like tiny things, like, I don't know, like my bed is in the corner of my room. I like the corners up against the bed. It's kind of small. I don't know. I have 3 planets in Aquarius, so. Let me see. Anything else that I can say? Oh, yes. It's once you've gotten comfortable. It's when you've gotten comfortable and you're complacent that Uranus usually shows up and wakes you up. That's why he's called the Great Awakener. It's a wake-up call. It's disruptive. And if you're somebody that has Uranus in the 7th house, the house of marriage and partnerships, you could have a really rocky road as far as your marriage is concerned, or business partners. But you know what? Like I say, always, knowing is half the battle. So if you know this, you need to work on it, you can overcome it. Everything, every aspect, every planet, every sign, there is good and bad to everything. And even with the card readings, like if I were to tell you, oh, you're going to get a job, right? And you go and you get the job, and the guy calls and he's like, you got the job. And then you say to him, I'm not taking the job. Then you're going to come back and say, oh, well, you said that you got the job. Right, but your free will turned it down. So sometimes our free will gets in the way of what the potential could be. Like I'm one of those people, and I know this about myself, I get stuck as far as, like I worked, every job I've had, there's only one job I actually lost my shit and quit, but every job that I had, it's like it ran its course, and then I was either let go for whatever reason, or I haven't had that many jobs. I've only had like 3 or 4, or the company went out of business, and it was time to move on. And I knew myself that it was because I hadn't made the decision myself. The universe was now making it for me, because it was time for me to move on in all of these situations. But I kind of get stuck. First of all, I have that Saturn in the 1st house, which kind of makes me responsible. So, oh no, I can't leave. I need this, what am I going to do without this? I need this. So if you kind of know this about yourself, that you're going to get stuck somewhere, well, Uranus at some point is going to come in and he's going to screw you up. And he is going to say, you're out of here. We're moving on. This is not working anymore. We've done this, okay? We've been here. We've done this. We're moving on to bigger and better things. And you have no choice, really, but to trust that the universe knows what it's doing, because otherwise you're holding on the end of the rope, hoping that, you're not going to fall. It's liberation, independent, rebellious. And if you have it in the 1st house or the 7th house, it can affect you in personal ways. All right, if you like what we're doing here at the Magic Junk Drawer, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you soon. Bye.